I don't know about y'all, but I love a good job class system. I always have, and I always will. Some of the best games around do employ them, from the very first Final Fantasy to Dragon Quest III, all the way on over to newer games like Blue Dragon, just to name a couple of them. But here, I want to talk about the job class systems in Bravely Default and rank them from worst to best. And I definitely do think that that's totally worth a sub, as I do try my hardest to level up my sub count this year. With your help, your like, and your sub, I just know that I can get there, so thank you so much for that. And now let's get started going through all these job classes. Number 24, the Summoner. Do y'all remember those summoning classes in Final Fantasy III back on the NES? I certainly do. I remember them because I never used them because both of them, honestly, sucked. And it looks like Bravely Default is harkening back to that grand tradition of shitty summoners, because both of the summoning classes here are completely terrible. Yeah, the summons themselves can be pretty strong, but they're also super expensive, and because of that, they're no good for random encounters. And because they're multi-targeting, they're also not good for the bosses either. Then, you only get 6 summons total. That's it, 6 spells. Whoop-de-frickin-do. Number 23, the Conjurer. Here we have the second summoning class, and while the Summoner dealt with damage, the Conjurer only works with buffs. But they are huge buffs, and those buffs last 10 turns. However, they only work on themselves, they just work on the Conjurer himself. Not only that, the class comes in super late in the game, so they're really hard to fit on a team, so it's just a bit too niche to really work in the late game, whenever you do want to be focusing on more physical job classes anyway, because magic is just kind of weak in the later game here, unfortunately. Number 22, the Templar. Here we have a physical class to balance some things out, but like the summoning classes, it's also an incredibly late game class. It has some super low agility and really crummy support abilities. It does have one saving grace though, and that's Rampart, which allows you to form a shield around the entire party that does prevent a physical attack. So that could be pretty decent grab, but it's really not worth investing time into this class just for that one skill. Number 21, the Swordmaster. This job class pretty much just has one shtick, and that's being able to counterattack, which I guess could be okay, and it does activate a pretty decent amount of time, but I wouldn't say it's consistent enough to, actually make this class, good. Top off the fact that, again, it comes pretty late in the game, and you have to build the party around the counterattacking, and the counterattacks themselves don't draw enemy aggro, and yeah, another crummy class. Number 20, the Thief. Have there really been any Final Fantasy games where the Thief is, halfway decent? They were the absolute worst job class in the first game, god awful in the third game, and easily the worst win job class in the fifth. And here it's more of the same. Stealing in and of itself is situationally useful, but that's it. I mean, at least he can make up for a little bit by being good at bows and arrows, which are actually pretty overpowered in this game. But you definitely don't want to stay in this job for the long term, and quite honestly, I would just replace the entire job class with a Thieves' Knife. Number 19, the Ranger. Like I said before, going over the Thief, bows are really, really good here, and the Ranger focuses on that, and it's easily this class's main strength. Couple that with a high hit count and agility, and it is a solid option, especially against random encounters with its Slayer abilities. It's just too bad that it doesn't have a human Slayer, because that would probably boost this job up a little bit higher. It is okay around the time that you get it, but soon after that, you'll be leaving it in the dust. Number 18, the Archanist. Yeah, he comes late, but the Archanist has some great magical stats, and can deal incredible damage with some of its commands, like Exterminate, as well as one-hit KOing with Twilight. However, by the time that this job class becomes available, most enemy magical defensives start ramping up quite quickly. Then it also mostly relies on status ailments too. However, both Status Ailment Amp and Withering Ripple can let you inflict poison on a whole lot of bosses. But outside of that one thing, the job is really niche and easy to skip, and you'll rarely miss anything that it has. Number 17, the Valkyrie. I swear, Was Kain like the only good Dragoon in all of Final Fantasy? All the other ones just seem to pale in comparison. This class is at their strongest when the entire team is jumping to, pretty much just become invulnerable, but who does that? Answer, no one. And that's why this job class pretty much sucks. Well, I guess it does have the ability to deal multi-targeting physical damage, but it doesn't have any good support abilities to back it up, and you get them rather late, so skip this one. Number 16, the Red Mage. We all should know what this class does by now. It combines the power of both white and black magic together with some decent physical stats. It's not as specialized as the other two though, and it does come later on in the game. However, it would not be a bad idea to pick up its job command for some support because it does have some valuable abilities, like turntables to synergize with a ninja and BP recovery, if you do want to create some sort of like BP battery setup. All in all though, he is just a little bit situational. Number 15, the Pirate. Our swashbuckling friend is pretty unique insofar that he's more of like a support job who can also deal decent physical damage. And that is a pretty solid combination. He can tank, melee, and debuff. However, the best of these debuffs, Defang, is sadly not available until job level 10, but you can still drop enemy speed and defenses before that. And while it does lack some good support abilities, it has a great ability to help control the battle, and it's great as a secondary command too. Even as a main job, it can be good due to their immense strength, but the Defang debuff is still where it's at. Number 14, the Spellfencer. Not only do you get this job relatively early, it also has some solid physical stats while also taking advantage of elemental weaknesses. You can even dual-wield rods and use sword magic to deal great single-target damage at a very minimal MP cost. Also, using secondary level magical spells at a much lower JP investment than the Black Mage is helpful too. Not to mention Drain for healing and Aspir for MP restoration. It is definitely a solid pick. Number 13, the Merchant. This one here is a bit of a strange bird because he is incredibly powerful in the late game, but he's also useless in the early game. Not only that, but you need to get him up to job level 13 to really even get access to any of its good abilities. But once you do, they are great to have on hand, with low leverage being one of its best abilities. Pay to play and BP drink can also come in pretty handy too. So I did kind of put him like middle in the road in this list because he's just so worthless in the early game and he does take such a long investment to pay off. Number 12, the Freelancer. Not only is this job available right from the start, but he also has a great variety of uses throughout the game, like Examine and the dungeon exploration abilities. Then there's Prayer, which can be really strong with spells like Comet, and later on, Mimic can just be a little bit ridiculous too. It's not like a great main job in most circumstances, and it often isn't amazing, but he does have enough general utility and good synergies that he deserves a pretty high spot. Number 11, Ninja. Cause one word, Utsusemi. Yeah, I'm sure that I mispronounced that, but whatevs. Being able to guarantee evading one single physical attack is pretty much completely overpowered because it can trivialize a number of bosses, and it is available at a really low level, and there are a ton of good skills that you can synergize with it to make it even better. However, outside of that one skill, the job's just okay. As a main job, it doesn't quite have the strength to make it into the top 10 list, but it is nice for what it is. Number 10, the Black Mage. Here we have an early game job that will carry you for the first 4 chapters before losing its luster throughout the game. Magical builds and jobs in general are inferior later on in the game as enemy magic defense does ramp up, and also whenever so many better physical options exist. To be fair though, they are invaluable throughout the first couple of chapters, and their status ailments wreck face. Later on, it still does have options though, and Pierce magical defense is essential if you want to use magic in the later game. But unfortunately, just because like the way the game works, magic itself just loses its usefulness around chapter 5 or so. Number 9, the Knight. In many ways, the Knight is similar to the Black Mage. It's an early game job class that's really good, then it loses its shine later on in the game. But it is strong early enough, and it provides the hugely valuable two-handed support ability as well. Stomp and Ironclad are pretty helpful too, and you can wreck certain bosses with Protect Ally. Then there's Vengeance, which is probably going to be like your first physical AoE attack that you get, so they're great to have until you get a couple of better physical fighters. Number 8, the Monk. This here is the earliest job that you get, and it's pretty good throughout the game. Not only is their damage high, but so is their HP. Mid-game, it has a number of good single-target damaging options, such as Qigong Wave and Hidden Dragon, and the Freelancer's Prayer helps it out as well. Late game, you can run a huge damage natural talent build, or exploit Phoenix Flight, deal an easy 10,000 damage. Both are pretty effective. And around Chapter 2, you'll be picking up several other good synergies with it, so keep them around while you can. Number 7, Vampire. This here is essentially Bravely Default's version of the Blue Mage, which historically is like a super powerful job in the Final Fantasy universe, and it is here as well. It's just too bad that it comes so late. So if you want to utilize the job, you won't have to be like running all over God's green earth to get all of their various spells, but it is totally worth it. Not only that, it has some HP and MP draining abilities, making it super self-sufficient and ridiculously strong. It is honestly one of the strongest jobs in the whole game, but I didn't want to rank it like first or anything, because it just comes so late, and it also needs such a time investment. Number 6, the Performer. I love a good bard, and while they're normally pretty decent in most games, here they're just absurd, because they can all use their singing to give everybody tons and tons and tons of BP, allowing them to use their moves over and over and over again, especially if you follow their singing up with a mimic to double it. But not only that, you'll have access to a ton of multi-targeting buffs, thoroughly helping out everyone on your team. It isn't as great as like a main job or anything, but it is pretty much like the best support job in the whole game. Number 5, the White Mage. Healers are essential in RPGs, and it's no different in Bravely Default. Along with the Monk, the White Mage is one of the earliest jobs that you get, and you'll probably keep it around for, the entire game. I mean, what more can I really say? You need a healer, and they heal. It's pretty much mandatory that somebody is a White Mage or has that ability equipped at all times. Number 4, the Time Mage. Historically, in the Final Fantasy universe, Time Mages can be a bit hit or miss. Here though, they are a hit, and available pretty early on. Slow and Haste are both godsends during the harder boss fights. Comet is ridiculously strong. They also get Stop and Re-Raise great support abilities, but let's not forget about Meteor, combined with something like Pierce Magic Defense. Later on, they'll unlock both Slow and Hastened World, which pretty much single-handedly break the game. Give them a little bit of investment in them, and you've got a winner on your hands. Number 3, the Saliva Maker. Normally, I personally don't really like chemist-type classes. They're just a little bit too confusing, and I'm just a little bit too dumb. But the Saliva Maker is different. They're just so extremely versatile. Even at level 1, they got attack items, buffs, elemental effects, and some really strong drafts like the Giant's Draft. Not to mention healing. They've just got all your bases covered. They are great from the moment that you get them, and like the White Mage, you'll want one on your team for as long as you can. Number 2, the Dark Knight. This here is easily the best damaging job in the game. Rage can hit for max damage multiple times with the right support skills, and if you have a Blood Blade equipped, you don't even take any damage. Not only that, they have super strong multi-targeting options, the adversity, specialty, and strong stats across the board. Like the number 1 job though, their main downside is just availability, since they are one of the last jobs that you'll be getting. Which does bring us to our number 1 job, the Spirit Master. These guys are easily the best mages and the best job class in the whole game. They're just so versatile. Stillness nullifies all damage for 2 whole rounds, which is just crazy broken. But not only that, they provide great element and status ailment manipulation and can even act as a BP battery for your other party members. Whoever you built up as your White Mage should transform into a Spirit Master ASAP for the lowered MP costs and all the other great effects that it can do. Then it also gives you the super strong support ability Holy One, which increases the power of white magic exponentially. Their only significant downside is that it's not available until about like the halfway point through the game, but it's so strong that it doesn't hold it back from the top spot. So that's it for all the jobs Bravely Default ranked from worst to best. But now I've got to ask you, what jobs are your favorite and why, and how would you rank them? Let me know in the comments, and let's all talk and chat about it. If you like this video, here's another one that I really do think that you'll thoroughly enjoy.